Thanks for tuning in, guys. My name is ActionPacked, and I am presenting episode 7 of Wishlist Wednesdays. In this episode, we are going to be discussing 7 scary ideas for Treyarchs' next game. Of course, these are ideas you guys submitted in the previous video's comments section. And if you are unaware of how this series works, or you're new and you want to participate in the series, check the description down below for complete details. But getting on with the ideas, we start at number 7 with Sir Slick Gaming. And his idea is called Life After Death, and basically how it works is when a teammate goes down and is not revived, they will die at that point, and then a boss will appear, and this boss is going to have the same character model as the teammate that died. And it's going to be, of course, zombified because it is a zombie boss. But this boss will sprint around the map very fast, and it will also randomly grab you, similar to the Pentagon Thief in 5, but he will also scream and take 500 points until it is killed or goes away. When it is killed, it will give you a money drop, allowing you to earn back the money you lost. Now, I chose this idea for 2 main reasons. Number 1, because you never hear anyone talking about how a teammate's death initiates something within the game to happen, such as like a boss round to start, something along those lines like this comment seems to point towards. And number 2, I think it's cool that he actually used the idea of the characters we play as to become the zombie boss within the game. And this would be really cool, for instance, if you were playing a game, a teammate goes down, this is a new map you're playing on, and that teammate dies because you couldn't revive them for some reason, and then right away, just in the distance, you could see them resurrect as a zombified version, and that actual zombie starts to chase after you. I think that would be phenomenal, that would be very surprising, and I think it would be a great experience. In position number 6, we have Peruna Pensas, and they have a new boss idea called the Box Mob. What happens with this idea is basically you buy the box for the first time, and then the box mob spawns in with a ring of candles somewhere hidden on the map that you have to make it to actually survive the round and actually not have any hassle with this box mob. So this will happen every 5 rounds after you initiate the first buying of the mystery box, and what will happen is this box mob is going to try to steal your gun every time it spawns in. If you have a pack-a-punch weapon, however, it's only going to try to take the pack-a-punch off your weapon. So that's pretty cool. I like that a little adjustment there. But if you survive him 3 times in a row, he won't come to attack you every 5 rounds. Instead, you'll just get a max ammo. Now, I will admit this idea isn't really that scary. I mean, it's got the whole candle thing going for it, but it's like, this is about scary ideas, right? So why did I include it in this video? Well, it does have that little bit of a creepy-ish factor with the whole candle thing, so it kind of gets past the mark with that. But on top of that, it's creative. It kind of takes things we already have in zombies, and it mashes them together and gives us something new that would kind of give it a little bit of a replayability if we were to get a new map or something like that. It would kind of surprise us and be like, oh, what's going on? What's this? And it would kind of keep the vibe going. So that's why I included it in this video. Idea number 5 comes from us from Joseph Despato, and he says a map called Amazement Maze, meaning the map is kind of like a maze with different paths, and this would take place in an abandoned amusement park back in the early 1940s. The zombies would be dressed up like staff personnel, and various zombies would be based off mascots such as tigers and sharks and stuff like that. The bosses would even have unique abilities depending on what animal it is dressed as, such as, you know, tiger, sharks, etc., as I said. And the health would also differ. The power, of course, would be turned off, but since the park was left to rot for so long, the electronics there would be pretty much completely destroyed, and the map would be very, very dark and very gloomy. The perks would work by one player having to go into the machine and having to repair the machine's core. While doing this, the player is unable to move and unable to shoot at zombies, so you would need other players to protect that player, or you'd have to do it while holding a crawler. It would take 30 seconds to repair it for each perk, and if you're trying to repair the Pack-a-Punch, it would take 90 seconds. There would also be a Wonder Waffle in the map that could be used to power the machines. One could simply shoot the machine multiple times to bring it to life. It would need 3 to 7 shots per perk, and 5 to 10 times for the Pack-a-Punch. Expanding on that idea in two different ways, I think it would be pretty cool if the frequency of the zombie spawning would actually be higher if you were repairing a machine. I think that would be pretty cool. It would definitely be pretty surprising, and something a little more scary and more all of a sudden kind of surprising, almost like a pop scare, is if there was a zombie spawn right above some of these machines that are kind of hidden sometimes, and they won't spawn on a regular basis, so it'll be kind of spotty. And maybe they'll be spawning around this machine. Maybe there'll be multiple spawns around the machine that they'll kind of pop out of and fall on top of you and stuff like that while you're repairing it to give you an extra challenge. And this will happen very, very all of a sudden, so that it would kind of be like a pop scare type of thing. Getting into the more scary ideas, we have Reether2600 at idea number 4, and he says a zombie map based on the asylum from Outlast would be very scary and a great location for a zombies map. The tight twists and bends, and every 5 rounds a boss would be a wall rider, which was the boss from Outlast, would be phenomenal to have in this map. He will fly around the map and try to take your perks. Now, to activate the power, you're going to have to find keys around the map, bring them to the control room, plug them into a control panel near all the camera monitors, and you will be able to have access to the power, which will give you access to the Pack-a-Punch, the box location, and of course all the perks within the map. Personally, I have not played Outlast. I have seen some gameplay, so I do kind of have a good idea of what this idea could play out like, but I do know that it would be fairly scary and fairly interesting to have something like this in zombies. This would be off the scale from what we currently have in zombies. Idea number 3 comes to us by Mega Rafflebomb. He says that it would be cool to have a death singer, which would be maybe a woman zombie in a zombified wedding dress or something. Every 5 or so rounds, the map would go silent. The death singer would roam around very slowly singing her death lullaby, and when this happens, the player cannot walk, the player can only walk, cannot sprint, and cannot do any damage to the death singer. The closer you are to her, the louder the singing is. When she finds you, she will focus her lullaby on you, and this gives you 30 seconds to deal as much damage as possible before the lullaby kills you. This death does not count on the scoreboard, and you keep all of your weapons and perks if she is defeated. The goal is to kill her before she kills everyone with her lullaby, and she only targets one player at a time and slowly seeks them out. Therefore, only one person can deal damage at one time. If she is killed without her killing anyone, then you'll get a max ammo and a perk bottle. If she is defeated but one or more players have fallen victim to the lullaby, then you only get a max ammo and those victims are resurrected. But if all players are killed by the death singer, then everyone will respawn, but no one gets a max ammo and everyone will be missing a perk. And on top of that, maybe even a weapon might be missing. As a bonus challenge, if all the players manage to avoid her and do not get caught at all, which would be extremely hard, after 5 to 10 minutes she will disappear, leaving behind a max ammo and 3 empty perk bottles. These would be the ones that you dug up on Origins with the golden shovel and the zombie blood to increase the max amount of perks that can be carried. Now, this idea is amazing. I think this is a complete game changer, mainly because you would really be playing hide and go seek with this death singer, because I mean, if it sees you, it's going to get you. If it maybe even hears you, it's probably going to get you. So it would really favor campers, I would imagine, if you just hid somewhere on the map and it just walked right past you. You know, it wouldn't see you, wouldn't hear you because you're not moving, etc., etc. If everyone did that, then it would go away after 5-10 minutes or whatever, and then you would basically win that round or whatever you want to call it. So I think this would favor campers, and I think it would be a really, really awesome game-changing idea. In position number 2, we have ActionPacked Gaming, and they say a scary boss idea would be basically 2 twins, and they would both be 5 years old, so they would be fairly small. One boy, one girl. They would both be ghosts, and there would be no way to kill them. They would just randomly come and sneak up on you, try to kind of jump scare you, and they would really just have creepy conversations, try to distract you, give you wrong information, and they would write creepy messages with chalk all around the map. And their appearance is just kind of floating, and they're covered in blood. Sometimes the boy holds a knife in his hand, or the girl has a voodoo doll. They would also scream every time you buy a perk or Pack-a-Punch. Every time you knife them, you would get 5 points. they also giggle, and when this happens, there's no vibration anymore on your controller. Some sound effects get turned off for a while, and that's pretty much the entire idea. Now, this is another amazing, solid idea. I can't even think of the adjective to really describe this comment. It is literally perfect. I think if there was something like this in zombies, it would not only be a game changer, it would not only be very creative as a concept in a game, but it is just completely different. Just imagine that, like, it's a pop scare every once in a while. It's like trying to communicate with you. You may even stop and try to listen to it, and then it gives you misinformation, and then it's like, oh hey, I heard that there's a secret perk on this side of the map, and maybe this is your first time playing it. So then you listen to the ghost, and then you go to that side of the map, and it's a trap. Maybe it's a giant hole, and then you die. The game's over. That would be hilarious. But now getting on with the number one idea, coming from Ryan Cootie. He says hallucinations, and that pretty much sums up the entire thing. Imagine if you completed a round, all you have left is a crawler, you're trying to hit the box, and suddenly a zombie sprints at you and screams in your face, then disappears as quickly as it came. It's just like your character is going crazy. Some people's first instinct would be maybe spam the trigger out of shock and shoot at it, and really, from the other people's perspective in your game, maybe even your friends, they would look at that and be like, dude, what the hell are you shooting at? Eventually, of course, everyone would figure out you're just hallucinating, but at least I think it would make for a really good conversation, especially when some friends are playing a new zombies map per se. I think people would think that would be pretty insane once they figure out that one of their players or one of their friends in the game are hallucinating, or their character is. Anyhow, that's it for episode 7. If you guys are interested in getting your comment featured in the next episode, then leave your trap ideas down below, and I will review them later this week. As always, likes and favorites are appreciated. Thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.